Summertime is here. I gotta get outside and read. This weekend, I'm gonna be taking you guys along with me as I find myself to get a little more creative, a little more inspired. I've become a little less inspired to read as of lately. I don't have a lot of time to read during the day, so I've been mostly reading in my bed at night, in my big chair. Those are kind of the only two spaces that I have been reading, and it's typically at nighttime because, like I said, I don't have time to read during the day. With that being said, I need new scenery for my reading, to be more inspired, to get more creative, to find those 5-star reads. And that's exactly what we will be doing this weekend. You guys will be following me as I adventure outside of the house, and I will be reading anywhere but inside my house. I already have a few locations that I have picked out that I think I can accomplish throughout these next 2 days. Today is Saturday, tomorrow is obviously Sunday, so I'm gonna be trying to adventure out and get to those reading spots. And I also have some exciting current reads and next reads that are coming up that I wanna share with you guys. So let's go do it. Let's go to the first spot. We have found ourselves at Sati Coffee. I drank the banana nut latte, pretty much already gone, so there's that. 10 out of 10 delicious, would recommend. And I am currently reading this book, Betty by Tiffany McDaniel. This is more of a character-driven book where we were following Betty and her family, the Carpenters. Betty was born in the 1950s. We're following them through like the 60s, and I believe in future decades we'll see a little bit more of where they end up, but it is a very emotionally devastating book, and like I said, very character driven, so we're actually just following them and a lot of like day-to-day things that they're doing and all of the kind of tragedies that happen to their family. I am about 332 pages into it. I would like to finish it hopefully today. There's like almost 500 pages in this book, but I think I can get it done. I've been sitting here just drinking the coffee, and I've read a couple of chapters so far, and honestly every chapter kind of gets worse with what is happening to the family. So it's really heavy, so I recommend looking up any trigger warnings if you're interested in reading it. But I am really, I guess, enjoying it so far. It's a very intriguing plot, and I think the writing's really beautiful. It does kind of feel weird to say enjoying this book when so many horrible things are like happening in it, but it's a very interesting book with, like I said, beautiful writing. So that's where we are reading now. Not in the house, and it's like 90 degrees, and I am sweating my little booty off. Got home a little bit ago. We didn't stay much longer at the coffee shop because today is I picked the perfect weekend to do this challenge. It's record heat in Denver, so it's gotten up to like 95, 96. The sun is kind of out. The UV has gone down a little bit, so I think I am gonna try to go sit by the pool. I probably won't last very long because it's like 95 degrees, but I thought, I don't know, I have nothing else to do today. Let's try to go get a little bit of poolside reading done. I will say this will be probably the most challenging part about this whole video because I am really terrible at reading by the pool. I get really sweaty, hot, I can't concentrate. But who knows? Who knows what can happen today? I probably won't talk down there because there's a lot of people down there right now, but I'll kind of show you guys what is up. I'll get some B-roll at least. It is a bit later. It is getting a little bit windy outside, so hopefully you guys can still hear me okay. But I did want to sit outside because it's like 80 degrees. It's 8:30 at night, but it honestly feels really good. Even this breeze feels really good. So I'm going to read a little bit more of Betty out here. I got to about page 400 when I was down by the pool, so I did get a good chunk of reading in, and honestly it just continues to get more devastating. And I was talking to my fiance about this when we went to dinner tonight. Reading sad books like this, he was just asking me like what's in it for you, like why, like what's, you know, explain to me the point sometimes of like the tragedies, and I think it's more so just like the moral aspect of it. I also heard that this author wrote Betty in being inspired by her mom, whose name is Betty, and her mom, they're also descendants of like the Cherokee tribe, and so is obviously Betty in this book. And so she pulled a lot of inspiration from her mom, and I think it's just like the resilience that people go through, and also just the perspective, and there is always like a moralness to the story, and just I think the biggest part is like gaining perspective of other people and like the traumas that they endure and the resilience that they have to continue to move forward, and the amazing things that they do afterwards is inspiring in and of itself. So that's kind of what I'm getting away from this story so far. I have a little under 100 pages left. I really want to finish it tonight, so hopefully I can. And yeah, that's that so far. So hoping to finish this tonight so that I can get started on my next book tomorrow. Dang. Oh. Okay, we are inside for this portion of the video just because it is the next day and it is getting up to 95 again, which is actually crazy. I thought it wasn't going to be that hot this weekend, but I don't know, don't trust the weather report. However, I did want to update you guys that I finished Betty by Tiffany McDaniel last night. I ended up reading for like probably an hour or a little bit more outside, and it honestly felt really nice and was definitely like the ambiance that I needed to finish reading, because it was like that summer night feeling where it's like 70 to 80 degrees, but like the sun's not out. We were by the ballpark and you could hear like the cheers of the crowd, and it was honestly just a really great ambiance. But I did, however, for the last few chapters of the book have to come inside because it got really windy last night and I was being very disturbed by that. So I did finish the book inside. However, I wanted to update you guys on what my thoughts were with this book. I ended up rating it a 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this book, and again, the word enjoyed is very like weird for me. It feels weird for me to use that because of how traumatic and devastating this book was. However, despite it being so devastating, the writing was absolutely beautiful. It was captivating, and something that I kind of dove into a little bit deeper after I finished this book was the fact that this book is inspired completely by the author's mother, Betty, and I didn't realize that like pretty much majority of this book is pulled from her real life, and the names of most of the characters are like true. I'm pretty sure like every character, it's like true to their names. Pretty much every single story that is told in here is pulled from that inspiration. She interviewed her mom, her grandma, and I think somebody else in her family for these stories, and then just kind of had to, based on these stories that she was given, build the other characters that she wasn't able to meet in her real life into this story. And I think it's such a beautiful homage to her mother and the resilience that she was able to just kind of have in the face of her trauma and devastation, and just like the growth that she had. And it was beautiful in so many ways. It was hopeful and inspiring. I don't know, it was just so many things. I highly recommend, if you are interested in reading this, to look up and research every single trigger warning. It does get really graphic, and so I definitely recommend that. However, I'm pretty sure this is also her debut novel, and I think that it was incredible for that reason. I think the reason that it's not a 5-star for me necessarily is because it was a little bit slower in the beginning. The pacing felt a little bit off, because then in like the last kind of 25% of the book, it was super fast paced, and kind of a lot felt like it was happening like right after another. And again, because it's based off of real life occurrences, I feel like there was a reason for that, because we're in Betty's perspective and she's pretty young in the first portion of the book. So I feel like her memory and just kind of her perception of things might have just been a little more like, not rainbows and butterflies, but just a little bit different than it was as she got older and gained a different perspective of her family and the things that were happening to her. And also, when you think of a timeline in terms of like real life stories and inspiration, you can't really make up that like some of these things just happened like close to each other, and you do have to build kind of that connection with the characters in the beginning of the novel in order for the impact of what's to happen to them is actually impactful to the reader. So I do understand it. I just think the pacing was a little bit off, and it was pretty devastating to the point where like it was hard for me to read at times. And so I don't know if that is necessarily a good reason for it to kind of get that chip in ranking. However, I don't know, I'm still feeling pretty confident on it, and I do think I will remember this book for a very long time and think about it very often. And I am really glad that I picked it up at this point in time, because I feel like I was in the right headspace to read something this deep. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Betty. I am so happy that I was able to finish it yesterday, and now I have a nail appointment in a little bit that I'm going to. So right after that, I think I'm going to head to a park and try to read outside for a little bit. I, again, don't know how long I will last outside because it's going to get up to 95 by that point, but I do want to start my next book in the park. So I'll see you guys then. Okay, I have bad news and I have good news. The good news is that my nails are done and I got blue. I was totally going into this appointment thinking I was gonna get a full design. I wanted like orange, pink, yellow. And then I got there and I just wasn't in the mood to sit in the chair for that long, because if you know, you know, the designs obviously take a lot longer. And I was inspired when I went on Pinterest, and one of the first pictures I saw was like a deep blue. So that's the end of the story, but they look really good. I love a blue nail. Bad news, I said we were gonna go read in the park, and I fully intended to. I actually packed everything that I needed. I had my hat, I had my blanket, my book, my water, and the weather just got really shitty. So if you don't know, in Colorado, Denver, summers are a hit or miss. It is still about 90 something, it's 92 degrees out, but we get high winds and thunderstorms and lightning during the summer. I think obviously it's some type of geographical, like we're so much higher up to the sun and just like the cloud mixture and all the things, you know, I don't know, I'm not a meteorologist, but we do get a lot of thunderstorms. And so it started raining on and off. The wind is like really crazy right now. There were branches and full like bushes that were falling into the street as I was driving home. So I will not be getting any reading done outside today, which is very sad because I was really excited to actually go to the park and sit down and read. However, I'll find time in the next couple of weeks. I am really busy during the work week, so I think that's just why I was sad about it. I really wanted my day off to be of me reading outside in that ambiance. However, I do think all in all this video was really successful. I got a ton of reading done outside, which is not super typical of me, and I feel like if I were to just be sitting in my bed during this week and reading the book, I probably wouldn't have finished it by now, because like I said in the beginning of this video, I was just being so uninspired to read, just being like in the same spot every single day. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, if you have to like kind of change up your scenery sometimes, but I really enjoyed it. I think I'm going to make this a type of series because I do want to bring you guys along to more reading spots, finding other third spaces that I can go read at. I want to go to more coffee shops. I just love obviously the vibe of that, getting the good coffee, being able to read with like other people around you. I want to go to like a library, maybe pick out a book there and read it there. Any other third spaces you guys can think of that you want me to read at, I probably most likely will make this into a series, and I definitely need to go. We have so many parks in Denver. When there's actually a nice day where I am guaranteed to not be disrupted by crazy winds and thunderstorms, I'm going to go to a park and read my book. So that's that. I also wanted to introduce you guys to the book that I will be reading next, since you kind of got robbed of me explaining it, but I'm going to be picking up Almost Life. I'll probably start it right after this in my bedroom, so that's why I'm just not filming it, because that's not the point of this video. This is by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. I picked this up a few weeks ago. I've seen it quite a few times on like TikTok and Bookstagram. This is a sapphic romance. I believe it just was released last month, and it's Pride Month, and so I thought that it was very timely for me to pick this up. I think it's actually going to be another heartbreaking book because when you read the synopsis, it's about, I believe they are both closeted women in the 70s and they are living in Paris, France. That's where they meet. And you follow them throughout decades of their life and them kind of going through different like life experiences together, experiencing life and all the changes that are happening. But their relationship is kept a secret and they have to they're trying to like navigate how they want to define this relationship. And I'm assuming that's just like the biggest part of it. And I'm already hooked just based on the synopsis. So that is the next book that I'm going to be reading. I'm sure you guys will see this on my Bookstagram if you want to follow me there, my thoughts and reviews here. Maybe I'll pick up the camera this week too when I'm reading it if I feel inspired. But yeah, this is the book that I will be reading. Let me know down in the comments below if you have read it or if you have your eyes on it. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are about it. Anyways, so sorry that this video got cut off a little bit short. Didn't get to read in all the places and spaces that I wanted to, but I had a lot of time filming this video this weekend. I hope you guys had a fun time watching it. Thank you guys so much for watching it up until this point if you have, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.